All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, 2023 was a tough one on the gridiron for the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals had a first year head coach in Jonathan Gannon, while they did not have the services of Pro Bowl quarterback Kyler Murray for the first 9 games of the season. And the results showed as the Cardinals were 1-8 without him. Now, Murray suffered that torn ACL late in the 2022 season. And because of that, the Cards expected him not to be ready when this season began. But Murray would return for the final 8 games of the season for Arizona, and with him under center, they would go 3-5. Now, Murray clearly is not going anywhere as he signed that 5 year contract extension for a little bit north of $230 million, as the Cards are going to have to once again try to build around their Pro Bowl quarterback. And I say once again because you think about how things got started in 2021 for Arizona. They were rolling, stumbled coming down the stretch. They did have injuries, still got to the playoffs, but they were one and done, courtesy of the eventual Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. But heading into this upcoming season, Arizona is projected to pick fourth in April's NFL draft. And I said this season for a minute, just forgive me on that one. But heading into April's NFL draft, they're slated to pick fourth. A lot of people do expect the Cardinals to take Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. It would be the logical standpoint choice from the standpoint that you figure you've got Chicago, Washington, and New England ahead of Arizona. All three of those teams are slated to pick a quarterback. And then a lot of people feel that even with that said, that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best player available coming into this draft. Now, Arizona definitely needs help on offense. They were 26th in the NFL last season in passing, while no receiver for the Cardinals gained 1,000 yards. But wide receiver is just not the only hole for this Arizona team. I mean, you figure they went 4-13, so there's a lot of holes right on that team that need to be filled. You look at Kyler Murray's NFL career, and in the parts of the 5 seasons that he has played, he's already been sacked 149 times, and then 18 times in the 8 games that he just played this past season. But Jonathan Gannon, to his credit, had a very competitive team this past season for Arizona, in spite of the fact that he didn't have the services of Kyler Murray for half of the season. Arizona lost 4 games by 5 points or less, but they got to try to find a way to close the gap in the NFC West because they went winless in that division. And we see how competitive that the West was. The Niners made the Super Bowl. The Rams were a playoff team, and the Seahawks were right there on the cusp of being a postseason team. So it's one of those, if you're Arizona, you definitely have to try to find a way to close that gap. Now, the Cards do have 3 of the first 34 picks in the upcoming NFL draft, courtesy of the fact that they own the Houston Texans first round pick, which is going to be 27th overall. Arizona is also looking at nearly $51 million in projected cap space. And you look at it, if you're the Cardinals, yeah, you could have 3 picks in the top 34, or you could also do some more wheeling and dealing because, like I stated earlier on, you've got Chicago, Washington, and New England all expected to take quarterbacks in round number one. Now, if Chicago does decide to trade that first overall pick, whoever they trade with, they're still going to take a quarterback. With that said, I do believe it would not surprise me to see a run on quarterbacks early on in this upcoming draft. If one team gets desperate and they feel like they need to move up to take a quarterback, could they move up to that fourth slot at Arizona with Arizona? And with that being said, if a team's going to move up, clearly Arizona is going to look to get more draft capital, and rightfully so. Maybe they move down slightly. Maybe they still get a Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe they get a Roman Dunze out of Washington, and maybe they get an additional pick to go out there and get an offensive lineman. Like I said, you've got Kyler Murray. You need to protect him. You need to keep him healthy on the field, and you need to keep him upright. Okay, you need the big uglies up front in order to do that. So I'm looking at the Cardinals right here. They have an opportunity, depending on how they attack this draft, depending on how they attack free agency, to get back on track. Like I said, this was a playoff team in 2023. A lot has changed on that roster. A lot has changed in that front office since then. But at the end of the day, you still need your playmaker at quarterback, and he can't help you if he's on the sideline injured. So, I mean, you're looking at Murray, okay, in parts of 5 seasons as the Cardinals starting quarterback. His record is 28, 36, and 1, a career completion percentage over 66 and a half. You're talking about a guy who's thrown 94 touchdowns to 46 interceptions. And of course, his elusiveness as a quarterback. But of course, he has speed. But at the end of the day, you still want to be able to protect and utilize that speed in the right packages. And again, it comes down to him staying healthy. So again, like I said before, 3 picks in the top 34. Arizona has an opportunity to reverse their fortunes, but maybe they get a trade offer. And at the end of the day, they could come out of this smelling like a rose. It all depends on where the cards fall. No pun intended. But the Cardinals are in a good spot. They have a chance to turn things around very quickly. It's just a matter of how different that this Cardinals roster will look after the NFL draft and after free agency. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.